The title of Duke of Rothesay and the other Scottish titles which I've had the honour to carry for so long, I now pass to Catherine.
The British monarchy has survived wars, scandals, abdications, and crises that would have shattered most institutions. But according to reports emerging from royal circles, a decision made behind closed palace doors may have quietly changed the future of the monarchy forever. And the most surprising part? The public was never supposed to know about it, because somewhere inside Buckingham Palace, King Charles reportedly signed a confidential document that has sent shockwaves through royal watchers, constitutional experts, and even members of his own family. A document centered around one person, Catherine, Princess of Wales. And if the reports are true, its consequences could shape the monarchy for decades to come. Now, before we go any further, pay close attention to this. This isn't an abdication, it isn't a coronation, and it isn't King Charles handing over the throne. Yet many royal insiders are describing it as one of the most significant decisions of his reign. Why? Because this document allegedly doesn't just define Catherine's future. It defines the future direction of the crown itself. And as you'll see later in this video, one specific detail buried within the reported framework has become the center of a controversy that nobody inside the palace can ignore. So what exactly happened? Let's start at the beginning. According to reports, the atmosphere inside Buckingham Palace was unusually tense. No photographers, no press announcements, no public fanfare. Only a small group of trusted advisors, constitutional officials, and senior royal staff. At the center of the room sat King Charles. In front of him rested a document that had reportedly been months in development. A document connected to succession planning, future leadership, and the long-term stability of the monarchy. Observers claim that after reviewing the final pages, Charles picked up his pen and signed. Then, for several moments, nobody spoke. The room remained silent, and according to those familiar with the story, everyone present understood the significance of what had just happened. Because this wasn't merely paperwork, it was a statement about the future. But here's where things become especially interesting. Most people would assume that any long-term succession plan would focus almost entirely on Prince William. After all, William is the future king. Naturally, he would be the central figure. Yet according to reports, Catherine became one of the most important subjects of the entire framework. And that raises an obvious question. Why Catherine? Why now? Why would King Charles feel the need to formally strengthen her future position when everyone already knows she will eventually become queen? The answer may reveal far more about the monarchy's future than many people realize. Because Catherine's role inside the royal family has changed dramatically over the last decade. When she first joined the royal family, she was often viewed simply as Prince William's wife. Important, certainly, but still secondary. Today, that perception has transformed completely. Catherine has become one of the monarchy's most trusted public figures. Her popularity consistently ranks among the highest within the royal family. Her charitable work receives widespread praise. And perhaps most importantly, she has cultivated an image of stability during one of the most turbulent periods in modern royal history. Think about everything the monarchy has faced in recent years. Family controversies, public criticism, media scrutiny, health concerns, institutional challenges. Through all of it, Catherine has largely remained a symbol of consistency. And according to many royal commentators, King Charles understands exactly how valuable that image has become. Which brings us back to the reported document. Sources suggest it wasn't merely symbolic. It allegedly outlined future responsibilities, authority structures, strategic planning, and Catherine's role during William's eventual reign. In other words, this wasn't just about titles, it was about influence. And whenever influence is involved, tension is never far behind. Because every decision that strengthens one person's position can create uncertainty for someone else. That reality reportedly became impossible to ignore during a crucial meeting held at Windsor Castle. a meeting that many royal observers now believe changed everything. According to reports, tensions had been quietly building for months. The future direction of the monarchy was increasingly becoming a subject of discussion. William favored a streamlined institution, a smaller monarchy, clear authority, clear responsibility, and fewer competing power centers. Meanwhile, Catherine's involvement in high-level discussions reportedly continued to grow. She wasn't merely attending public engagements anymore. She was increasingly involved in conversations about public trust, communications, charitable priorities, and long-term strategy. Her influence was becoming more visible, and not everyone was entirely comfortable with that development. Then came the reported Windsor meeting. What was intended to be a routine discussion allegedly turned into something far more significant. Accounts vary, but according to reports, disagreements emerged regarding Catherine's future role. Questions were raised, concerns were expressed, and tensions that had been simmering beneath the surface reportedly became impossible to hide. One comment allegedly changed the atmosphere completely. Suddenly, the discussion wasn't just about planning, it became about authority, about influence, about the future. And according to reports, that moment forced King Charles to confront a difficult reality. The monarchy could not move into the next era with uncertainty hanging over its leadership structure. Something needed to be clarified. Something needed to be settled. And that may be exactly what prompted the reported framework. Over the following weeks, advisors allegedly worked behind the scenes. Drafts were prepared. Options were reviewed. Potential consequences were examined. And eventually, the final version landed on Charles's desk. The result was reportedly a framework designed to provide certainty. Certainty for William, certainty for Catherine, and certainty for the institution itself. But if the palace believed the matter would remain private, events soon proved otherwise. Because secrets inside royal circles rarely stay secret forever. At first, there were whispers, then speculation, then came the leak. According to reports, fragments of the document began circulating among journalists and royal correspondents. Only small pieces at first. A phrase here, a clause there. Nothing definitive, yet enough to spark enormous interest. Suddenly, phones across newsrooms started ringing. Editors wanted answers. Reporters wanted confirmation, and royal insiders found themselves under intense pressure. Had King Charles really approved a framework that strengthened Catherine's future authority? Had he truly made a decision that would influence the next reign so dramatically? The public wanted answers, and the palace faced a dilemma: ignore the story, deny it, or acknowledge it without revealing the full details. As speculation intensified, another fascinating aspect of the story emerged: public reaction. And perhaps surprisingly, much of the reaction focused on Catherine herself. Supporters argued that the move made perfect sense. After years of service, dedication, and public trust, many believed Catherine had earned a central role in shaping the future monarchy. Others viewed the situation differently. Some questioned whether formalizing authority so early could create unnecessary tensions. Others worried about the personal consequences for those who might feel sidelined by the decision. Because behind every constitutional decision are real people, real relationships, real emotions. And that's what makes this story so compelling. It's not simply about paperwork. It's about family. It's about loyalty. It's about the difficult choices leaders must sometimes make. For King Charles, the reported decision may have represented one of the most challenging balancing acts of his reign. On one side stood the institution, the need for clarity, the need for stability, the need to prepare the monarchy for the future. On the other side stood personal relationships, long histories, shared experiences, and the emotional consequences that inevitably accompany major decisions. Few people understand that burden better than Charles himself. Throughout his life, he has lived beneath the weight of duty. Now, according to reports, he may have chosen duty once again. Not because it was easy, but because he believed it was necessary. And what about Catherine? Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the entire story is how she reportedly reacted. According to accounts circulating among royal commentators, Catherine never viewed her future role as a prize. She viewed it as a responsibility to William, to their children, and ultimately to the country. That's an important distinction, because from the outside, becoming queen may sound glamorous, but inside the royal family, it comes with enormous sacrifices, constant scrutiny, endless expectations, and responsibilities that never truly end. If reports are accurate, Catherine understood exactly what was being placed upon her shoulders. Not a victory, not a reward, a burden, a duty, a future she would eventually have to carry. As the story continued spreading, public interest only intensified. Television panels debated the implications. Newspapers published analysis, royal experts offered competing interpretations, and ordinary citizens began discussing what the future monarchy might look like under William and Catherine. One thing became increasingly clear. Whether every reported detail was accurate or not, the story had struck a nerve. Because at its heart lies a question that fascinates people around the world. What happens when one era ends and another begins? Every monarchy faces that challenge. Every generation must prepare for transition, and every leader must eventually decide how the future will be shaped. According to reports, King Charles has now made that decision. Not by stepping aside, not by surrendering authority, but by defining what comes next, by creating a roadmap for the future, and by making it clear who he believes will help guide the monarchy through the decades ahead. The significance of that choice cannot be overstated, because long after today's headlines disappear, long after current controversies fade, and long after today's debates are forgotten, the future structure of the monarchy will remain. And if the reported framework truly exists, historians may one day view it as a pivotal moment. The moment King Charles quietly secured the future, the moment Catherine's role moved from expectation to certainty, and the moment the monarchy began preparing for its next chapter. Whether supporters celebrate it or critics question it, one thing is undeniable. The conversation has already begun. And as Britain looks toward the future, all eyes remain on three people: King Charles, Prince William, and Catherine, the woman many now believe is being positioned to become one of the most influential queens in modern royal history. The question now isn't whether the future is coming. The question is whether the monarchy is ready for it. And if recent reports are any indication, that future may already be closer than anyone imagined. What do you think? Did King Charles make the right decision? Is Catherine the perfect person to help lead the monarchy into its next era? Or could this reported move create new tensions inside the royal family? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the latest royal developments, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next investigation. Because when it comes to the royal family, the biggest stories are often the ones happening behind closed doors.